You know what's worse than dying alone? Dying alone while your whole family dies painfully, one by one before you. Your children go blind and deaf. Your entire empire goes up in flames and all your enemies laugh as they watch your kingdom fall apart. Oh, and by the way, you get these horrible sores, and then you grow fat. Your bones ache. Your hair falls out. You become paralyzed and go insane. I bet you can't guess what that's like. Okay, here's a hint. It's highly contagious and has been around forever. Welcome to my channel. Today, we will look at the worst ways to die. A series of unfortunate events slowly took place between the 16th and 19th centuries. Seemingly minor illnesses gradually worsened, claiming the lives of monarchs across Europe. At first glance, it appeared as if an epidemic of bad luck was haunting European royalty. Yet there was a sinister truth lurking beneath the surface. Syphilis, the disease of disgrace, was methodically dismantling generations of European elites, leaving behind a legacy of suffering and death. Lorenzo de' Medici, a 48-year-old Italian prince, was living the height of luxury in his lavish villa outside Florence when he became ill in 1533. He initially dismissed his condition, believing it to be merely a slight fever. However, as days passed, his health deteriorated rapidly, leading to his demise within a month. What seemed to be a sudden and mysterious death was actually the result of a slow, agonizing battle with syphilis, a sexually transmitted infection that had been plaguing humanity since the 5th-10th century. Little did people know that Lorenzo S. Passan was merely the first in a long line of prominent figures who would succumb to this dreaded disease. While it might be hard to believe today, during the Renaissance knowledge about sexually transmitted infections was limited. There was no cure for syphilis, and those infected were often stigmatized and ostracized. Symptoms ranged from mild fever and rashes to severe complications like paralysis and organ damage. The disease cast a dark cloud of fear and uncertainty over the lives of those it touched. Among the most notable victims of this hidden epidemic was Abbas II, the 56-year-old ruler of Persia, who fell ill in 1664. Despite his best efforts to conceal his deteriorating health, the symptoms of syphilis eventually overwhelmed him, leading to his death. Abbas's demise was particularly significant because it marked the end of a brilliant era in Persian history. His empire, known for its cultural achievements and territorial expansion, began to crumble in the wake of his illness. But the toll of syphilis wasn't limited to the sick. In 1680, John Willett, the Earl of Rochester, stood at the peak of his fame and fortune in England, a renowned wit and courtier to King Charles II. He was celebrated for his charm and intelligence, but behind the facade of his successful career, Rochester harbored a secret shame. Syphilis had taken root within him, slowly eroding his health and sanity. As the disease progressed, it began to manifest itself in more sinister ways, attacking his mind and body with a vengeance. Rochester became increasingly disoriented, his once sharp wit dulled by confusion. His paralysis worsened, confining him to his bed and isolating him from the world he once so brilliantly inhabited. Unable to bear the torment of his condition, he died in 1680. His brilliant light extinguished by the darkness of syphilis. Joseph I, the Holy Roman Emperor, was another victim of this ruthless disease. In 1705, despite being married to the 17-year-old Wilhelmina of Denmark, he had no legitimate heirs, a worrying prospect for the aging emperor. Desperate to produce an heir, he turned to his wife's younger sister, Maria Anna, and engaged in a secret affair. However, their tryst was doomed from the start. Maria Anna was already infected with syphilis, unknowingly passing the disease on to the emperor. Realizing too late the consequences of his actions, Joseph became desperate, seeking remedies from across Europe. But nothing could stop the relentless march of syphilis. Years passed without an heir, and the aging emperor's health continued to deteriorate. In 1711, his wife bore him a son, but the joy was short-lived. The child was stillborn. A heartbroken Joseph realized that time was running out. With no legitimate offspring, he faced the grim prospect of ending his dynasty. Aware of his precarious situation, he decided to formally adopt his nephew, Charles, the son of his deceased brother, as his own. This act of desperation aimed to secure the Habsburg dynasty's future. However, fate had other plans. Just as it seemed that Charles would inherit the vast Habsburg domains, he fell gravely ill. He battled for his life for 3 weeks, eventually succumbing to the disease and dying at the age of 17. The stage was now set for a devastating succession crisis that would shake the foundations of Europe. The death of Charles left a gaping hole in the Habsburg line of succession, setting off a chain of events that ultimately led to the War of Austrian Succession. This conflict engulfed Europe as various nations vie for control of Habsburg territories, including the coveted Spanish Empire. The war not only shattered the peace of Europe, but also marked a turning point in world history. Louis I of Portugal, another royal afflicted by the disease, had inherited the Portuguese throne at the age of 58. Despite his advanced age, he defied expectations and sired children with his young wife, Carlota Joaquina of Spain. However, his dream of a thriving royal lineage was short-lived. Syphilis took hold of their children, causing the tragic death of their 2-year-old daughter Maria de Gloria. Grief-stricken and desperate, the king and queen tried everything to save their remaining child, their 5-year-old son Miguel, but despite their best efforts, Miguel succumbed to the disease. 2. With both their children dead, the royal couple's hopes for an heir were dashed. The burden of producing an heir now fell upon Carlotta, who was forced to enter into a new marriage with her cousin, Miguel, the Duke of Braganza. This strategic union aimed to strengthen the Portuguese monarchy and ensure the continuation of their bloodline. Tragically, Syphilis followed Carlotta to a new marriage, claiming the life of her second husband. Devastated and defeated, she spent her final days alone, haunted by the specter of the disease that had decimated her family. Crown Prince Rudolf of Austria-Hungary seemed destined for greatness. Intelligent, charismatic, and artistic, he was the apparent heir to a vast empire. However, his path to the throne was marred by a dark secret. Syphilis had entered his life, slowly chipping away at his mental and physical well-being. Over the years, the disease tightened its grip on Rudolf, causing him to withdraw from public life. As his condition deteriorated, whispers of his strange behavior echoed through the palace halls, painting a picture of a man detached from reality. His art became his solace, a reflection of his tormented soul. On New Year's Day 1832, at the age of 30, Crown Prince Rudolf's tragic story came to an end. Confined to his room in the Belvedere Palace, he ended his own life. Unable to bear the torment of his illness and the pressure of his royal obligations, his passing plunged the Austrian Empire into turmoil, creating a succession crisis that would have far-reaching consequences. Finally, Archduke Otto Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, met his demise in Sarajevo in 1914, sparking the First World War. Interestingly, he was survived by his brother, Crown Prince Joseph Ferdinand, who himself suffered from syphilis. This marked the end of the Habsburg-Lorraine dynasty, a family whose health and fortune had been deeply intertwined with the disease throughout the centuries. From the heights of power to the depths of despair, these stories of royal misfortune reveal the devastating impact of syphilis on some of Europe's most influential figures. As we delve into the annals of history, we uncover a legacy of pain and suffering, a testament to the disease's insidious nature. Through their tragic tales, we gain insight into the human cost of this hidden epidemic. A cost measured not only in lives lost, but also in shattered dynasties and altered destinies. The Habsburgs, once a symbol of European royalty, were brought low by a combination of factors, including a lack of genetic diversity due to intermarriage within the family and a higher susceptibility to sexually transmitted infections. This combination proved fatal, resulting in a string of miscarriages and deaths among the Habsburg heirs, leaving the dynasty vulnerable and paving the way for its demise following World War I. As we reflect on these narratives, we are reminded of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. These royals, though plagued by illness, left an indelible mark on history through their accomplishments and contributions to their respective fields. Their struggles serve as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by countless individuals throughout history who battled not only external enemies, but also the unseen adversary of disease. In 1928, Alexander Fleming's serendipitous discovery of penicillin ushered in a new era in medicine, offering a powerful weapon against bacterial infections like syphilis. This groundbreaking moment marked a turning point in the fight against infectious diseases, providing hope for countless individuals who had previously faced a life overshadowed by the threat of syphilis. Thank you for watching. Which of these stories impacted you the most? Why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.